My 6-5-year-old neighbor's tomato plants are absolutely loaded with fruit. Same neighborhood as mine, same soil, same weather. But his plants looked like they were producing nearly twice what everyone else's were. So I walked over and asked him his secret. What he pulled out of his medicine cabinet shocked me. A single pill. Cost? About $1. Mixed with a gallon of water and a touch of dish soap. I'll show you the exact recipe in a minute, but first you need to understand why this works, because if you skip the science, you'll mess up the application. Stick with me to the end, because we're covering the recipe, the science, and the 5 mistakes that'll ruin your harvest if you get this wrong. My first reaction was the same as yours, probably is right now. Aspirin? For tomatoes? Sounds like another internet hack. So I dug into the research before I tried anything. What I found surprised me. Studies show salicylic acid, the compound aspirin, breaks down into can boost tomato yields significantly. Let me put that in real terms. If you normally harvest 50 pounds of tomatoes from your plants each season, this method could give you an extra 7 to 10 pounds. That's enough for several jars of homemade sauce. Enough to share with the neighbors. And when summers turn brutal heat waves, drought, the kind of weather we keep getting, more of that extra protection can be the difference between a decent harvest and almost nothing at all. But the stronger evidence is about disease. USDA researchers found that pre-treated tomato plants had roughly half the disease infection rate of untreated plants. Half. Think about that. If you've ever pulled up 6 tomato plants destroyed by blight in August, this technique could mean only 3 of them would have gone down. 3 saved. 3 more plants producing fruit all the way through September. And what really sold me salicylic acid isn't some foreign chemical. It naturally occurs in tomatoes themselves. It's in willow bark, in strawberries, in cucumbers, in broccoli sitting in your refrigerator right now. We're not adding something strange to the garden. We're giving the plant a small dose of something it already uses to defend itself, and something you've already been eating your whole life. One thing to be clear about this is not an EPA-approved pesticide. It's a careful preventive technique. We're not replacing professional fungicides. We're giving healthy plants a little extra protection. So the science is solid. But why would a headache pill help a tomato plant? The answer matters because once you understand it, you'll know exactly when to spray and when not to. Plants have an immune system. Not exactly like ours, but the same basic idea. When a tomato plant gets attacked by a fungus, a bug, or harsh weather, it doesn't just sit there. It fights back. And the way it fights back involves a chemical alarm system. That alarm chemical? Salicylic acid. The exact same compound aspirin breaks down into. Normally, this is how it works. A fungal spore lands on a leaf. The plant detects it and starts producing salicylic acid, which spreads through the plant's vascular system. The signal reaches every other leaf, telling each cell to thicken its walls and release natural, antifungal compounds. The plant gets ready to fight. The problem? By the time this alarm fires, the disease has already taken hold. The plant is playing catch-up. That's where aspirin comes in. When you spray a small amount of aspirin solution on a healthy tomato plant, it breaks down into salicylic acid. And the plant can't tell the difference between this and a real attack. So it triggers the entire defense system preemptively, before any disease shows up. Think of it like a fire drill for the plant's immune system. We're running the drill on a calm, sunny day before any fire ever starts. The plant practices its defenses, gets everything in position, then sits there, armored up and waiting. When real disease eventually rolls through your garden, and trust me, every garden gets hit eventually, the plant isn't caught off guard. It's already ready. This is the same principle behind vaccines. A small, controlled exposure teaches your immune system to prepare in advance. By the time the real virus arrives, your body is ready. Aspirin does the same thing for tomatoes. But here's the critical rule. Aspirin only works as prevention, never as a cure. Spraying it on a plant already covered in blight is too late. The defenses needed to be activated before the disease arrived, not after. Healthy plants only. That's the rule. Drop a comment with interested if this is making sense, or skeptical if you still need more convincing. I read every comment. Now let's get practical. Because if you walk into the pharmacy and grab the wrong product, none of this works. What my neighbor uses 4 items, under $20 for the whole growing season. You can grab everything in one trip to your local pharmacy and grocery store. First, the aspirin. Standard 325 milligram tablets. Plain white, uncoated. That's the keyword, uncoated. About $1 a bottle, and one bottle lasts you 3 or 4 seasons. 3 types of aspirin you should not use. Baby aspirin dose too low. Enteric-coated aspirin won't dissolve, clogs your sprayer. And anything with caffeine added like Excedrin caffeine stresses plants. We'll come back to these in the mistakes section, so just remember, 325 mg, uncoated, plain white. Second, 1 gallon of clean water. Tap water works fine, but here's a tip my neighbor passed along. Fill your jug the night before and let it sit out overnight. The chlorine evaporates, leaving softer water that plants prefer. Costs you nothing. Third, mild dish soap. Dawn Original works perfectly. Avoid anything labeled ultra, platinum, or degreaser, and skip the heavily scented stuff. Strong cleaners strip the protective wax off your tomato leaves, the opposite of what we want. Fourth, a 1-gallon pump sprayer. Any hardware store, $10 to $15. Make sure it has an adjustable nozzle. Total investment under $20. Compare that to a single bottle of brand-name commercial fungicide at $30 per season. A low-cost preventive layer before you reach for stronger products. Now, one critical safety note that most gardening videos skip. Aspirin is human medication. Even though we're using a tiny garden dilution, treat the tablets and your mixed spray like any other pharmacy product around the house. Keep them out of reach of children, same as you would with any medicine. More important, keep both the tablets and mixed spray away from pets. Dogs can develop stomach ulcers from salicylate exposure. Cats are even more sensitive. They lack the liver enzyme needed to process it safely. Even small amounts can cause serious poisoning. Label your sprayer clearly. Store it on a high shelf or in a locked cabinet, not on the garage floor. Treat it like medicine, because that's what it is. Supplies in hand, safety covered. Now let's mix this stuff. Because you'd think mixing aspirin with water would be impossible to mess up. But I've seen people get this wrong 3 different ways. This is the exact recipe my neighbor swears by, and he was very specific about getting these proportions right. 6 steps. Each one matters. Step 1. Take 1 325 mg aspirin tablet and crush it into a fine powder. Back of a spoon against a plate works fine, or a mortar and pestle if you have one. The finer the powder, the faster it dissolves. Big chunks won't break down. Step 2. Dissolve that powder in about a cup of warm water around 120 degrees Fahrenheit, comfortable bath temperature. Warm water dissolves aspirin 3 times faster than cold. This is why dumping the tablet into a cold gallon jug usually fails. Step 3. Stir for a full 30 seconds. Use a spoon and keep stirring until you can't see any granules at the bottom. If you see particles settling, keep stirring. Patience here saves problems later. Step 4. Pour your aspirin solution into the sprayer that already has 1 gallon of clean water in it. Scrape out every last bit from the bottom of your cup. That residue is concentrated aspirin, and you want all of it in the sprayer. Step 5. Add exactly half a teaspoon of dish soap. Not a full teaspoon, not a squirt. Half a teaspoon, measured with an actual measuring spoon. The soap helps the solution stick to the waxy surface of tomato leaves. But too much soap strips that protective wax and burns your leaves. Measure it. Step 6. Close the sprayer lid tight and shake for 30 seconds. Real shaking, not gentle swirling. Now, the quality check most people skip. Before spraying a single tomato plant, test the mix on bare ground. You should see a light, gentle foam, like the bubbles on top of a cup of coffee. If you see heavy suds, you added too much soap. Dump it and start over. 5 minutes wasted is better than dead plants. Pause the video right now and screenshot this recipe. I'll keep it on screen for 5 seconds. Drop a comment with "Got it" once you've saved it. 1 aspirin tablet. 1 gallon of water. Half a teaspoon of dish soap. Apply every 2 weeks. That's the whole formula. Mixed and ready, but hold off on spraying for just 1 more minute. Because there are 5 rules about how to apply this that make all the difference. Break one of them and you cut your effectiveness in half. 5 rules. Each one matters. Skip any of them and you're wasting your aspirin. Rule 1: timing of day. Apply this either early morning, between 6 and 8 a.m., or late afternoon after 5 p.m. Never spray during midday heat. The reason is simple. Wet leaves plus harsh sun equals burnt foliage. Almost immediately, those water droplets act like tiny magnifying glasses, focusing the sun into concentrated spots. Cool morning or cool evening. Pick whichever fits your schedule. Rule 2: Spray both sides of every leaf. Top and underside. The underside is where the stomata are, those tiny pores that absorb the solution into the plant's vascular system. The top of the leaf has very few, so if you only spray the tops, you're missing where most of the absorption happens. And one more thing, this is a leaf spray, not a soil drench. Don't pour this on the ground around the roots. I'll explain why in a few minutes. Rule 3: apply every 2 weeks. Not weekly, not monthly. Every 2 weeks throughout the growing season. The compound peaks in plant tissue after about 2 days and clears within 10. The 1-4 day cycle is the sweet spot, frequent enough for protection, spaced out enough not to overload the plant. Spraying more often doesn't help. It starts to hurt. Rule 4: only spray when leaves are dry. If there's heavy dew, wait. If it rained the night before, wait. Wet leaves, dilute your solution on contact, cutting your dose in half before the plant absorbs anything. Touch a leaf. If it feels damp, give it another hour. Rule 5, and this is the most important one, only spray healthy plants. Start when your tomato plants are about a foot tall, with 5 or 6 true leaves. Get that first application in before any disease pressure hits, before you see yellowing or spotting. Remember from earlier, aspirin is a vaccine, not a cure. You vaccinate before exposure, not after symptoms appear. Spraying a diseased plant won't save it. So to recap, early morning or late afternoon, never midday. Both sides of every leaf. Every 2 weeks. Dry leaves only. Healthy plants only. Get those 5 right, and you've set yourself up for the best version of this routine. Skip any of them, and you're just spraying water around for no reason. Most folks who try this are actively making at least one mistake that's killing their results, and they don't even know it. Now we get to the part where I'd bet money you're already making at least one of these mistakes. These are the 5 things that turn this whole spray into a complete waste of time. Mistakes 1 and 2: using baby aspirin or enteric-coated aspirin. We covered these in the supplies section, so I'll keep it short. Baby aspirin underdoses. Enteric-coated won't dissolve, clogs your sprayer, and blocks photosynthesis with white residue. Standard 325 mg uncoated. That's it. Mistake 3: too much dish soap. This one is sneaky because it feels like you're being helpful. If a little soap helps the solution stick to the leaves, more must be better, right? Wrong. Tomato leaves have a natural waxy coating that protects them. A small amount of soap helps the solution spread. Too much strips that protective wax entirely. Your plants end up more vulnerable to disease, not less. Half a teaspoon, measured, not eyeballed. Mistake 4: increasing the aspirin dose. This is the mistake experienced gardeners make. If 1 tablet works, 2 must work twice as well. Absolutely not. At higher concentrations, salicylic acid stops being a protection trigger and becomes a toxin. Leaves turn yellow. Blossoms drop before setting fruit. Growth slows down. 1 tablet per gallon. Don't get creative. Mistake 5, and this might be the most damaging one: spraying when the plant is already stressed from drought. When a tomato plant is wilting from lack of water, its stomata close to conserve moisture, so your solution sits on the leaf surface with nowhere to go. Worse, the acid concentrates in droplets and causes severe burning. I've seen entire plants defoliated within 24 hours from this one mistake. The golden rule: water your plants deeply the day before you spray. Never the same day. If you've made any of these mistakes, you're not alone. These are the 5 most common reasons people say aspirin for tomatoes doesn't work. It does work. They just weren't doing it right. Drop a number in the comments, 1 through 5, to let me know which mistake you've made before. I'll address the most common ones in a follow-up video. Now there's one more question that comes up constantly. Why spray the leaves? Can't I just water this into the soil and save myself the time? The answer matters more than you'd think. The answer comes down to how plants actually absorb compounds. Both methods work to some degree, but there's a huge difference in effectiveness. When you spray on the leaves, the plant absorbs the aspirin directly through the stomata, those tiny pores on the underside. From there, it enters the plant's vascular system, kind of like a direct injection into the bloodstream. It reaches every part of the plant within about 2 days. Fast, focused, efficient. Now, with soil application, things change. The aspirin first has to survive the soil environment. Healthy soil is alive. Billions of bacteria and microorganisms break down organic compounds as part of their normal activity. Before your aspirin even reaches the roots, soil microbes destroy a significant portion. maybe half, sometimes more. Whatever survives then has to be absorbed through the roots, which is slower than leaf absorption days instead of hours. By the time it actually reaches the plant's protection system, you've lost a huge chunk of the effective dose. Same amount of aspirin, same amount of water, maybe a third of the benefit. One important warning: don't try to compensate for soil application by using more aspirin. I know it's tempting. If soil drenching loses half the dose, I'll just double up. Don't. You'll feed more aspirin to the soil microbes without helping your plants, and you risk reaching toxic levels that actually harm root development. Stick with the recipe. 1 tablet per gallon. Apply it to the leaves. So at this point, you've got the science, the supplies, the recipe, the application rules, the common mistakes, and the right approach. But there's one thing left, and it's the thing that causes the most frustration: knowing what to actually expect and when. This is the part where I have to be straight with you, because most YouTube videos won't be. They'll show you dramatic before and after photos, promise overnight transformations, and leave you disappointed when reality doesn't match the thumbnail. Not what I'm doing here. First, an important reset. Aspirin is not a fertilizer. It's not a growth booster. You're not feeding the plant, you're priming its immune system. If you're expecting your tomato plants to suddenly double in size after one application, you're going to be frustrated. That's not what this does. Think of it as armor, not food. Now, the realistic timeline. The first week, you'll see almost nothing. No dramatic change. This is normal. The work is happening invisibly at the cellular level, the protective pathways are activating, the immune system is gearing up. It's like the day after you get a flu shot. You don't suddenly feel superhuman. The protection is being built quietly inside. By weeks 2 and 3, after your second application. This is where things get interesting. If your area has been hit with humid weather or temperature spikes, the conditions that normally trigger fungal disease, you might notice your tomato plants holding up better than your neighbors. Less yellowing on the lower leaves. Less spotting. Fewer plants going down with early blight. By the end of the season, the realistic outcome looks like this. Some growers report modest yield improvements, that 7 to 10 extra pounds we talked about earlier. Some report dramatically better disease resistance during bad weather years. Some report no clear difference because their conditions were already ideal. Results vary based on your climate, your tomato variety, and how consistent you were with applications. Hear me clearly on this. If somebody tells you aspirin guarantees a doubled harvest and disease-free plants, they're either lying or selling you something. The honest answer is, aspirin gives healthy tomato plants an extra layer of protection they wouldn't otherwise have. Some seasons, that protection will save your crop. Other seasons, you won't be able to tell it made a difference. But it costs about $1 a season to try. The science behind salicylic acid is real, and the risk is low if you follow the dose and safety rules. No miracles. Just a small, smart edge that costs $1. Speaking of being straight, there are a few quick questions I get asked all the time. Let me hit those in the next 30 seconds. First question: I'm allergic to aspirin. Is it safe to eat treated tomatoes? Tomatoes naturally contain salicylic acid already. The amount you're adding is tiny by the time it reaches the fruit. But to be safe, stop spraying about 7 to 10 days before harvest. Will this hurt my bees? Research suggests it's safe for pollinators when applied as a leaf spray, especially during early morning or late afternoon when bees aren't active. Your bees will be fine. Can I keep spraying when plants are fruiting? Yes. Mid-season and late season are when disease pressure peaks, so continuing your 2-week schedule is when this routine earns its keep. Just remember that 7 to 10 day window before harvest. Now about what's coming next. A lot of you are already asking, what about peppers, eggplants, cucumbers? The research on tomatoes is solid. The research on other crops is thinner, and I'm not willing to give you specific recipes I'm not confident in. So I'm testing this on other crops, one at a time, in real conditions. Each crop gets its own video with honest results. Drop a comment with the crop you want me to test first. Peppers, eggplants, potatoes, cucumbers, strawberries. Whichever gets the most votes is what I'll work on next. And for those asking about willow bark, yes, it works similarly. I'm working on a separate video for that one. Recipe one more time. 1 325 mg aspirin tablet. Uncoated, 1 gallon of clean water, half a teaspoon of mild dish soap. Apply every 2 weeks. Spray the leaves, both sides. Healthy plants only. Early morning or late afternoon. Cost? About $1 a season. Time? 10 minutes every 2 weeks. If this video helped you understand this better than the dozens of other aspirin videos out there, hit like so I know to make more like this. Subscribe and turn the bell on for the next video in this series. Try it in your garden this season. Take a before photo today. Come back at the end of the season and share your honest results. Get out there and give your tomato plants the same edge my 6'5" neighbors been giving his for years.